Hello, everybody. Welcome to Next Generation. My name is Mark. We are on probably our third episode of logical questions. Today we're going to do two together. One is combine, actually three: combine, sequence, and underline. All right, so we're going to do combine right now. Combine is the ultimate test for all the different grammar concepts that we have gone through in the previous videos, right? So the rule for combined sentence on the test is that it has to be shorter than the original test question, right? That's the very first key. The other key indicator is just switching punctuation. All right, so if it asks you to combine two sentences together, and one uses a period, one uses a semicolon, that's the only difference, then that can't be the answer because it's not combining the two, it just switches punctuation. Okay, so it might seem that genre convention never changed because they never change. It probably seemed like Western today follows the same rule as Westerner from 100 years ago. What is the rise in zombie films shows, however, is the genre themselves change and they provide different things to different eras. All right, so keep as the sentence is. We know that it can't be because it's repetitive, right? So keep as the sentence as they are. A, cross off. B says it might seem that genre convention never changed, semicolon, because of it could argue. All right, so grammatically it's no good, and plus it's longer than the original sentence. C says it might seem that genre convention never changed, that the Western today followed the same set of rules as Westerners from 100 years ago. Sounds okay. D, because Western today follows the same set of rules as they did 100 years ago. So when it comes to combine, a lot of students will mistake and say, oh yeah, combine shorter, the shortest. I would choose D. But if the meaning changes or if it leaves out the original sentence, then it's not correct. All right, so as in D is too short because it leaves out some of the main aspects of that sentence. So answer for this one is C. Okay, there's only one question for this, so we'll quickly do this. Two. His parents were part of the Jewish culture elite in Vienna at the time. Stefan was afforded every possible luxury and privilege. By 1904, Zywik had earned a doctoral degree from University of Vienna and formed the connection that will allow him to enter the city's rural elite. All right, so we want to combine these two sentences together. All right, so A says his parents were part of the Jewish cultural elite in Vienna at the time, semicolon. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It just changes from period to semicolon. All right, they both take complete sentences. It's grammatically correct, but it doesn't really combine the two. All right, so A cross off. Zywik was afforded every possible luxury and privilege because his parents were part of the Jewish cultural elite in Vienna at that time. All right, that one sounds okay. We leave. Born to parents who were part of the Vienna's Jewish culture elite, Stefan was afforded every possible luxury and privilege. That one's okay. Leave. His parents were part of the Jewish culture elite in Vienna at the time, comma, and. All right, so this one is the same thing as this one. They're all grammatically correct, but remember, shorter the better. All right, so D cross off. Now we're down to B and C, of course. C being shorter, that will be probably our best answer. So C for number one. Number two. As SLP who specialize in speech might work in articulation or phonation, though some are these specialists will also work in attention and memory. In particular, they work with components of these practices that deal with language. Which of the following gives the best way to combine these two sentences? All right, A, not really, no change. It's not really combined, so A cross off. B, they work in particular with the components. The same difference, just change punctuation, so B no good. C is not grammatically correct, particularly in the components. It's not a complete sentence, so D will be our best answer, particularly the components of these practices that deal with language. Okay, all right. So combining, just make sure that it's first grammatically correct. Second, they're not just switching punctuation, and third, maybe the shortest one is not always the answer. All right, that's all you got to remember for combination. All right, combined sentences. All right, okay, let's move on to our chapter 15, which is underline and sequence. Another aspect that is important to the test are underline and sequence questions. Underline questions in example 1 ask students to answer a range of questions from fixing grammar to inserting phrase and placement. Sequence questions in example number 2 ask questions to put sentence in the correct place according to the paragraph, or on a bigger scale, put a paragraph in the correct place according to the passage. Okay, so let's do one at a time, all right? So a book like War and Peace makes the case that it is possible to know it all, or at least it is possible, alongside Tolstoy's other great novels and nonfiction writing. Shakespeare seemed to have an emotional vocabulary that was advanced for his age, but Tolstoy lived in an era of facts and discoveries, and his novels shows the fruits of his vast study. Okay, so these kind of questions is just plug and play, all right? Just kind of put it in and make sure that the meaning of the sentence, it works. But for this one, it's very evident that we know that as it is where it is now, it doesn't work, all right? B, at the beginning of the sentence. So you kind of have to read it to yourself to see which sentence or which placement makes sense. Alongside Tolstoy's other great novels and nonfiction writing, a book like War and Peace makes the case that it is possible to know it, or at least that it is possible. Sounds okay. All right. After the war of that, and after the war least. All right, so let's kind of circle them and kind of insert them and read it out loud to see if it makes sense. A book like War and Peace make the case that, alongside Tolstoy's other great novels and nonfiction writing, it is possible to know it all, or at least that it was possible. This one a lot of students would choose because actually it makes sense, right? But B is still better because of the way that the sentence is structured. All right, if you put this sentence here, it doesn't make any sense. So answer for this one is B. Okay, next one. At the department, however, Amanda learned about person rights, or by the same token, when was the use of force appropriate for officers? There's a clear provision of Constitution prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. The meaning of these four words were nowhere ambiguous and imprisoned. Everyone within these walls has been convicted of a crime that was now paying he or she, or it should be his or her debt to society. But how could a government ensure that the place would deliver the reform in reformatory and penitence and penitentiary? Should inmates with example mental illness be treated different from others? Okay, so sentence 2 is right here, or by the same token, where was the force appropriate from the officers? So this one, where it is now, is very awkward, so where it is now cross off. Before sentence 1, you won't start a paragraph or a sentence with or, so B cross off. After sentence 3, there is a clear provision in the Constitution that prohibits cruel and unusual punishment, or by the same token, when was the use of force appropriate for officers? All right, so this one cross off. Well, this one you can, answer for this one is D. You can quickly dissect this question because question here, and question here. All right, it's called repetition. So a lot of the authors, when they write, they're sometimes write with repetition, like questions a bunch of threes. All right, so this one is very obvious that it fits right after sentence 3. Okay, after sentence 6. I'm sorry. All right, let's go on to our test review. There's quite a lot. All right, so we have 10 questions here. All right, so let's start with number 1. All right, so indeed, for our hopeless mass media universe, this forgotten form laid the foundation, pushing the same books onto countless readers. If the punctuation is adjusted accordingly, the best placement for the underlying portion will be where it is now. No, because when we read it, it sounds weird. After the word form, indeed, this new forgotten form for our hopeless, no, it sounds weird, right? Indeed, this now forgotten form laid the foundation for our hopelessly mass media universe. Sounds good. Answer for this one is C. Number 2. There are horror of every city dwellers and international travelers. You can't see them, you only see their aftermath, usually in a form that becomes more uncomfortable as the day of an itchy welt goes on. All right, where it is now sounds weird, cross off. The aftermath, all right, so you can see the aftermath of an itchy welt. Sounds weird, all right. C, you can't see them, you only see the aftermath, usually in the form of an itchy welt. Sounds okay. C will be our answer. My portion will be, she became the first Hispanic female astronaut and the first in space in 1993. Olga's career at NASA had been very bit illustrious of one that expected of Hispanic descent. Okay, this sounds okay. All right, after the word she descent, no. All right, so person should become the first person descent, no. All right, and center. Where's center? Oh, center descent. No, this one's pretty easy. All right, of Hispanic descent. Number 3 is A. And number 4, for the sake of logical coherence in this paragraph, sentence 2 should be place. Okay, this part of Virginia became the modern state of West Virginia on June 20th, 1863. So for much of the part of American history, Pennsylvania and Virginia, 2 major early colony states, share a border. This part of Virginia, that doesn't really make any sense, A cross off. All right, so if this can't be it, this can't be it. After sentence 3, the name, they came the Civil War. The part of Virginia became the modern state of West Virginia in June 20th. All right, so it should be sentence 4. Let's kind of read it to see what happens. Amid the fear of secession and conflict, President Abraham Lincoln granted a special provision for that part of Virginia that was loyal to the Union. Right? So that part of Virginia refers to this part of Virginia. So that kind of makes sense, right? So remember, see how the context come together, right? So number 4 answer here is D. Number 5, sentence 2. They correct our spelling. Imagine you're texting someone and 2 of you guys get into a heated debate. They correct our spelling. Well, who correct our spelling? All right, this one has a pronoun. It's a little bit easier. It's in the beginning, so it has to refer to something in the first part of the sentence, right? Okay, so at the beginning of the paragraph, you can't. All right. After sentence 5, well, Urban Dictionary can save the day. They correct our spelling, but Urban Dictionary is singular, so we can't use they, so cross that off. After sentence 8. All right, so, they translate. So just type the phrase in Google and see what turns up. Dictionaries have a way of showing you the effects of our daily lives. They translate, so let's talk about dictionaries, and that correlates with dictionaries. So this they right here is talking about dictionaries. So number 5 is D. All right, that's part of our pronoun exercise, right? Number 6. So line 5, a ponytail group of geeks and their computer monitor reflects brightly off their glasses, break into some mainframes, some evil corporation. The image is as old as computer themselves. All right, so if you have this one, where it is now sounds weird. All right, so a ponytail group of geeks, their computer monitor reflect brightly off their glasses, breaks into the mainframe from the evil corporation should be right here, because these geeks is talking about these geeks right here, right? So after sentence 1, B. Okay, moving on. Sentence 4. He found a sweet tasting mixture of chemical and worked for weeks to isolate the sweet substance from the rest to determine its chemical composition. Where it is now. All right. Before sentence 1, Faubourg rushed back into the lab, began to taste the content and will eat every baker that he had used. All right, we can't use that one. I'm sorry. Let's go back. We can't use before sentence 1. That sounds weird. All right. Where it is now, maybe. Fortunately, he had not worked with any poisonous or corrosive, or they might have a different ending. He had discovered saccharin, which named for its sweetness. He found a sweet tasting. So this one, he found a sweet tasting mixture of chemicals and worked for weeks to isolate the sweet substance from the rest and determine the chemical compound. Before sentence 6, although it might be time more sweet tasting sugar, it cannot be used for energy by the body and therefore does not contribute to calorie consumed energy use. All right, so before sentence 3, so he found a sweet tasting mixture and chemical and worked for weeks to isolate the sweet substance from the rest to determine the chemical composition. He had discovered saccharin. All right, so he gave it a name. So before sentence 3, C will be our best answer here. Okay, now full paragraphs are pretty easy, I think, because there's a lot of context clues that you can use, right? So paragraph 6. If these findings are true, the bed bugs have significant public health threats that has previous belief. Like mosquitoes in malaria-ridden countries, bedbugs have redefined as true menace rather than just itchy nuance. All right, so if these findings, so it's talking about findings. You have to take a look at the end of every paragraph to see what kind of findings are there, right? So it says that where it is now, maybe. After paragraph 2. After paragraph 2 says, as help extra toxins came from snake bites infections by removing them. All right, so it can't be after paragraph 2. Paragraph 3, World War II has significant problem with bed bug infestation as the bug appeared all over the Europe. Nothing about reports. Paragraph 4, so the lifespan along the dormancy of the bed bugs led many to believe that the problem might be a permanent one. No reports there. So where it is now, A. All right, so it says that a study and document in the American Journal Tropical Medicine and Hygiene shows that bed bugs could transmit Kongus disease between mice, which many object to as being inhumane. All right, so if these findings, perfect. All right, so answer for this one is A. Okay, best sequence. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the strength of these achievements was selected at NASA space mission in 1990. Okay, 1990. Her second patent came in 1989. So we already know this should come before this. So it can't be A. So let's cross off A. All right, 2, 4, 3, 5, 1. 2, 4. Was first revered as a research. Most notable contribution is an optical system that can detect defect repeating patterns. First came in 1987. All right, we have it there. So 1989, 1987, but 1989 is in paragraph 2. 1987 is in paragraph 4, so we know it can't be that one. All right, 3. Alan Oka was born in Los Angeles, California in 1958. All right, so that one's pretty much our answer because it's sequential. All right, it's chronological. Chronological means it's by time frame. All right, so we have 1958, and then number 4, 1987, and then we have 1989, 1990, and then issued in 1990. All right, so it's chronological. I look at the time frame. It flows. All right, so the answer for this one is C. All right, last but not least, let's take a look at, in context, passage as a whole, the best placement for paragraph 5. All right, one species, the tiger Barythra tigran, was done even better. This species emits high-frequency clicks noises that throw off bats' sonar altogether. While no one is certain exactly how these clicks camouflage the bee trigonot, the clicks have been remarkable successful in defending the moth's bat attacks. Some suggest that click-force bats misinterpret their sensory data, taking moth clicks and their own echo. As a result, bat miss their prey at the moment of attempt capture and trigger moth flit away unharmed. All right, it should be flies away unharmed. I'm sorry, typo. So where it is now, after paragraph 1, a main curiosity among the bat's whimpering is its use of echolocation or sonar. After paragraph 2, so while a bat does have relatively acute vision, those does not nearly as acute as some species of shrimp. Its echolocation is what makes it much an effective predator. All right, number 3, most tiger moths can emit clicks that warns bats from their moths, suggesting that moths might be inedible toxic compounds, right? And then it says one species of tiger moth. All right, so right here, perfect. So answer for this one is D. Okay, so for the 3 that we just did, we have combine. Combine is just grammar, right? You just kind of have the grammar. Remember those 3 rules, right? It can't be just switching punctuation. It's got to be shorter than the original, and then sometimes it's not the shortest. All right, we talked about sequence, and then we also talk about underline, right? So this is just plug and play. All right, there's not a whole lot of strategy that you can use, but you kind of have to use the context clues around you. Look for similarities when they give you where to put everything. okay? Or look for the year, look for question type, look for writing style. All right, these are all little clues that you can use for these type of questions, okay? Okay, we're almost there. I think we have 2 more concepts for logic questions and we are done. All right, so thank you very much and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.